And then just allow your eyes to close. So we're beginning class this morning, seated and in stillness just for a moment. We won't stay here long, but as you allow your eyes to close, just allow your sense of vision to take a break and allow your sense of hearing to sort of come into full focus, as though you're just turning up the volume to listen in, first to the sounds around you, what's happening in the near vicinity of your body. And again, not to brag, but I am outside today, so I get to hear this really beautiful symphony of sounds that are, just organic and natural, but there's also the commotion of people getting back to work, and it's kind of starting to sound a little different each morning in the early hours. And then let your attention and your sort of listening energy come inward. And the idea here is not to actually listen for sounds, but to listen with a sense of just really caring and considering what your body might have to tell you this morning. So listening to the way it feels to be in your body in this moment, listening to your spine, listening to your shoulders, your knees, and even to your inner sort of emotional state. Listening for a moment to the energy of your mind, whether it's really sort of groovy and calm and optimistic, or a little bit more sort of anxious and intense. And listening to the space of your heart, that space where we feel and care from. Are you feeling content and okay? Are you feeling vulnerable and sort of in need? And wherever you're at, whatever you feel, whatever you're hearing as you listen into your body, just see if you can sort of offer a little intention for the morning to move with care in a way that's responsive to all of these needs and all of these sensations, that you're in an agreement with your body to be kind and to be purposeful and make decisions that are in harmony with what you're feeling. And then we'll just allow our eyes to open and use that listening energy of your body to help sort of inspire your first movements. So we're just going to move the spine, maybe back, maybe forward. Hold on to your knees to create some stability and balancing of energy. So as you go back, you can sort of send your knees forward. And then let's take it in some circles. And again, let this be organic and all about what you feel. So if you're not feeling like doing exactly as I'm doing, you make up your own little spinal dance. And keep breathing, of course you are, but bring your attention there a little bit more and see if you can deepen your inhale and then deepen your exhale. And then we'll reverse our direction. Good morning, Stephanie. And come around to the other side. Just playing with being mindful and listening to what we feel as we get started. Maybe one more in that second direction. Starting to lubricate the joints around the spine, and then just pause at your center and feel that sort of just energy flowing up the center of your body. So now we're going to take our right leg out to the side, and we're just going for a side stretch along with this adductor. So if you want to turn or just reorient in any way, go right ahead. And we'll take the arms out to the sides, and then bring your right hand to the inside of your right leg, and then slide it along the inseam of your pants as you take a nice big side stretch. And then from here, it doesn't matter whether your hand only makes it to your knee or to your ankle and toes, but see if you can get your elbow or your forearm at least to come into contact with your leg, and then use that to create leverage to press your arm into your leg and open this heart of yours to this glorious day, this beautiful setting, whether it's indoors or out, and just breathe into that stretch. And then we're going to exhale and rotate down, turning your gaze, turning your shoulders towards the mat, and then inhale, open to the sky, and exhale, rotate down. Inhale, open, exhale, rotate. Last time, open, and then sweep the arms wide, and we'll reset, bringing your right leg in, sending your left leg out. Okay, take that big expansive stretch, place your left hand along the inseam of that left leg, and then find that leverage, bring your forearm, elbow into the leg and draw your shoulders open. Stay there and breathe. See if you can ease this right shoulder down away from the ears even more as you spin your palm towards the ground and allow that arm to create length through that entire right side of your body. And then inhale, open up, exhale, rotate down. And inhale, open up, exhale, rotate down. And again, spiral from your center. One more time, open, and then we'll come all the way back up and then release the arms down. Okay, we're gonna come to all fours now, moving into a position that gives us sort of a front and back of the mat. So wherever you're oriented, you're aiming your head towards the front of your mat, and then we're just gonna take our hands a little bit further forward. So you're gonna take your shoulders down away from the ears, and then you're just gonna lower your elbows down to the mat, letting your spine tilt over your pelvis or over your thigh bones, your pelvis tilt, and then draw your shoulders down, press into your palms, and stretch the arms back to straight. And we'll repeat that a few times. So you're doing this little tilt or a tricep push-up, and think of your spine for a moment as kind of like a, as if you had 2x4 strapped to your back. So you're not gonna round or extend. You're staying nice and neutral. And notice the two ends of your spine. As you bend the elbows, the top of your spine, your head comes down, and your tail is naturally going to lift up. And then right back up. Just warming those triceps up a little bit. Good. One more time. And then taking your right foot forward between your hands. Good. We're going to just hold there a moment, drawing the shoulders down. Let's take your left hip and really think about lifting up on that as is, engaging your sit bone down. So you're engaged around that joint so it feels really powered on and stable. Softening the shoulders down again away from the ears. We're going to take the toes tucked under on the back leg and simply press the thigh back to come into a straight leg lunge. And then we're going to repeat that. We're going to lower the knee back down and then engage the glutes on that back leg and press that leg towards straight. And lower down. If your knee isn't liking this at this point, just keeping your knee down and staying in the stretch is totally valid and good option. See if you can keep the engagement here the whole time as you lower and lift the knee. So you're not going into a sort of slack position when the knee bends. You're just pulling your heel towards your sit bone to bend the knee. So it's like you're trying to kick your own booty with that back leg. So we're activating those hamstrings and glutes while we stretch. Good. And then stretching the leg to straight, we're going to hold and take your left hand to the mat and take your right arm up to the sky, turning and opening into a twist. Spiral the shoulders and breathe. Lift up out of that bottom hand and then spin the hand back to the mat. And we're going to take a big leap forward. You're going to take a big breath in, and on the exhale, step the feet together and then fold forward into your forward bend. Soft knees here. Let your head have a little easy shake out. And then with your knees nice and soft, walk your feet close in together. Together or close. That's a range I give you full permission to play with. And then we're going to bend the knees quite a bit, dropping the booty down towards the heels, keeping the feet flat, and then we're going to lift the chest a little bit and come into a flat back. We're gonna bring the arms back in line with our spine and just hover here. And our goal now is to keep all of this. So from your legs down, you're gonna stay in the same position, but we're gonna try to lift our torso off of our thighs, pulling the abdominals in, drawing the sit bones down to come up into more of a sort of true zigzag. Good, hold here. See if you can lower your booty a little bit more. Let your knees come forward over your toes, heels reach back. And again, without trying to tuck your tail under, lift your abdominals and try to lift your pelvis a little bit away, or lift your asses a little bit away from your thighs. And then press your arms back. And really feel the strength of those triceps. Keep the arms nice and strong and straight. And rolling the shoulders back away from the earth, making this about opening your chest and activating your upper back. And 3, and 2, and 1. And then lower your hands to the mat. Step your right foot back into your long lunge. Good. And then let's lower the knee down and pause. Find your glutes on that back hip again. Lift up on your abdominals and engage your sit bone under on that right side. So you've got a real strong, active sensation around the hip. And then simply press your thigh towards the sky. And then lower. Bend the knee and straighten. And we're doing this again as if we're bending the knee by pulling the heel towards our booty. That's a different sensation than actually just letting the knee relax towards the mat. Can you feel that? Okay. And then one more time, stretch the leg to straight. Keep all of that power and then keep your right hand down and turn and open your left arm to the sky. Turning your shoulders, turning your gaze. Good. And then place that hand down and take that big leap, a big breath in first. And on the exhale, we step the feet up to the front of the mat, bow with the head, and just fold in half, taking a few nice full breaths there. You can nod your chin to your chest and then shake it no. And then again, with the feet narrow, maybe touching, maybe not, you're gonna bend the knees once more, lowering your hips towards your heels. Let your head and shoulders float in line with your spine and with those hips. And then keeping your thighs right where they are, lift your abdominals off of your thighs and think of drawing your sit bones down to the earth to lift your torso without tucking. And now you're gonna reach your arms forward and overhead. Turn your palms in towards one another. Good. And just sit a little lower. Good. Feeling those big muscles of the legs really warming here. And then we're going to lower your left hand down towards the mat and back. And then we're going to switch. And just take your time, balancing your energy, finding your heels a little bit more, bringing your weight back. And last one, we'll bring both arms overhead and then bow towards our toes and give ourselves a little release. Shake out your tail, shake out your head. And then we're going to step back with the right foot, back with the left, and make our way into a plank position. Holding there. And then we'll land the knees down, bring our knees forward, and sit back towards our heels. We're transitioning, so be kind to your knees as you make your way. What you're going to do, take your hands to the mat behind you, and then step your right foot forward. Bringing your shoulders back, lifting your chest. You're going to take your hips and lift off of that bottom heel. And you can do your side lying quad stretch here if you'd like, because that's what we're going to get into. So you're going to just take your tail off of the back heel and tuck it under, as if you're trying to lay your sacrum flat on the mat. So here's kind of before, here is after, and it's not a very huge visible shift, but internally you'll feel it as an increase in your quad stretch. And then you're going to lift your heart up, let your spine spill back, and then exhale, draw the abdominals in more, curl inward. So we're just inviting a little bit more movement into the spine. Inhale, exhale, curl to round. One more time, inhale, exhale, curl to round. Lower your hips all the way down, and then we'll walk the hands forward, making our switch to the other side. So right knee comes down, hands come back, left foot comes forward. Hi, Lila. And then we're gonna take our hips coming up off of that heel to begin with. Lift the chest so the shoulders are rolled back, and then curl the tail under, trying to land, again, the back of your pelvis, the back of your booty on the mat without lowering down. So it's a tuck. And then keeping that tuck, we'll lift the chest. Let the head come back just as far as your neck feels comfortable, and then flexing the spine, drawing your abdominals in, we'll round. And again, the tuck that we have on that right hip is not going away. We're just inviting the rest of the spine to move. And inhale up, and exhale, and then lower the hip down, walk the hands forward, come to your knees again, and this time we'll take the hands behind the low back, interlaced and reaching, and then we're just going to bow forward over our knees and let the shoulders and hands stretch up and over. If that's not feeling good to you, you can just take a more traditional child's pose, and your arms can be here as well. And then sliding your sit bones down, you'll just roll up to kneeling. We're gonna cross the ankles and then just roll back over the feet and come towards the top of our mat. Okay, let's start with the knees. We're gonna hold on to the sides of the legs underneath, lift up through the chest, draw the shoulders back, and just open and close the knees a few times. Open and draw in. As your knees open, there's a little bit more space to arrive nice and tall through the center. As your legs close, see if you can not be forced back, but rather stay close and grow a little taller. And open, and use those deep connections from the base of your pelvis to help create that lift. And then let's take the knees together and pause there. And on the exhale, start to press your thighs into your hands as you curl the tail under and roll back, and then rise back up. Imagine you had a sling around your low waist and you're trying to move into that sling first. We don't want to move into our upper body first. That's our sort of easy way out, or the place that we have more mobility already. So we're just trying to challenge the places we don't move quite as well and keep the sort of the health and wellness nice and cohesive and harmonious up the spine. And again, rolling back. Now pause when you're back and make sure you feel some energy in those low abdominals. And then we're just going to take our feet to the toes. Good. And then maybe hover the feet off of the mat. Good. And we're just going to balance there and move a little bit. Rock forward towards your thighs. And then scoop the belly. And again, try to move from the top of your pelvis where those little dimples are on your low back, and push them back to tilt. And rock forward and rock back. Good. And rock forward and then rock back. Hold there and see if it feels reasonable to maybe release the arms. If you want to continue to hold, you're welcome to. And then you're just going to tap one foot down and lift it up. Tap and lift and lift. And just keep going, alternating and breathing so that each exhale gives you a little more access to those low abdominals. And we'll do a couple more. One more each side. And then legs both hovering, hands behind the thighs, and we're going to roll the rest of the way down. Bring your knees into your chest, give them a squeeze, and then bring your hands to the back of your thighs again. Push your knees away from you, nod the chin, and peel up. We'll be doing that about 5 times. So if you can't keep your feet off the mat, that's going to be the added challenge. If you're needing a little bit of contact just to make it through the roll up, use it. Give your body the support that it needs. Again, we're listening because we want to get the most out of this, right? If you kind of skip a step for your body, you're going to kind of miss the benefit of the movement. So support yourself where you need to. Good. So hopefully you find yourself feeling a little bit warmer in the abdominals. This is all about the entire trunk, so there's not any one location that you'll feel, but just a kind of general warming up to the center of your body. And then we're gonna roll back down and stay there. Okay, keep your knees into your chest, keep your head off the mat, and curl into that little ball. Try to bring your tailbone a little bit further off of the mat, like you're trying to tuck and lift your tail. And then bring your hands to the back of the head. Try to find your shoulders down a little bit further away from the ears. Sink your bottom ribs and curl a little higher by rounding your low rib cage into the mat. And then we're just going to tap one foot to the mat, bring it up, and tap, and bring it up. And then we'll take same motion a little faster. So there's movement on both sides. Keep breathing and scooping those abdominals in towards your mat. So there's just a sense of weighting your spine down into the mat, weighting your abdominals down into your spine, and then bring both legs to the mat and your head and shoulders down. Okay, it's time for some bridging. So I'm gonna just reset so you can see me better. What we're gonna do is place our feet in parallel and then just let the knees flop open and then flop back together. This is just a nice repetition on that idea of feeling this sort of openness and ease, and then pulling a little more power inward from our core as well as our inner thighs. Nice and lightweight effort at this stage. Okay, and now you're going to take your feet to the mat and find, as we talked about on Tuesday, those roller skates, as if you have roller skates on, all four wheels on the mat. And then you're just going to take your abdominals in to your spine, curl the tail under, and peel up one vertebra at a time, finding those 4 or 8 wheels nice and connected, and then roll back down and repeat. Exhale to peel up, take a breath at the top, exhale to roll back down. One more time, just like that, feeling all that warmth in your core, your abdominals that you just powered on with those rolling exercises. Feels really good here. Complementary, like it's the same exercise, because it is. You're flexing your spine using your abdominals on the way up and on the way down. Now we're going to take the next one up. See if you can feel it. Drawing your abdominals in also keeps your rib cage from doing a huge like leverage lift. So we're trying to keep that rib cage sort of integrated to our pelvis. The abdominals help us do that. At the top of your bridge, hold, and we're going to do hip dips. So we're going to sink one hip towards the mat while the other is elevated, and switch. Good. And as we begin this, it's going to stay right at the pelvis, kind of low. So if you had a hula hoop around your pelvis, you're turning your pelvis hula hoop. And then we're going to grow the movement a little bit and bring your left hip all the way down to the mat. So we've turned and lowered, and then turn and lower, and turn and lower. Now imagine you have a hula hoop up around the base of your rib cage, so down near those floating ribs, and you're going to tip the pelvis and your rib cage and lower down towards the mat. So as your left hip comes down, your left side of your rib cage comes down, and then same thing on the right side. The key here is to keep the shoulders active, pressing them open into the mat so that you're actually inviting some rotation into your upper back, a part that really kind of needs all the encouragement it can get to stay mobile. And then we'll make it level to both sides and roll all the way down. Okay, now we're going to take our feet together, bottoms of the feet together, and the knees open. And we're just going to do a little abdominal work first, pulling the abdominals in, curling the tail under, and then if it feels possible to you, you can hover the hips off of the mat. So we're doing a bridge, and we're working into those glutes. Try to keep the ribs thoughtful and heavy towards the mat as you peel up and down, and then lower, and repeat. We'll do that 4 times. And rolling down. 2 more like that. And last one. Take your time, scoop and feel that core connection, that abdominal work holding you together, like your pubic bone and sternum are flexing towards one another. And then roll back down. And then we'll take the knees together and take the feet together too, and take that little mini bridge. We're powering on our low glutes along with our low abdominals. So feel your rib cage heavy. Find that little smile under your buns, engage into it. Scoop a little deeper, and we're squeezing as if we're trying to bring our tail towards our knees, but our ribs towards the mat, all at the same time. So there's opposition, right? Forces acting down, forces acting up, and that connects us in the middle. And we'll go for 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Nice work. We're brightening up those hip extensors. So now we're going to take our feet, let's go with parallel, so you can create a little bit of space between the feet, and then scoop the abdominals, peel the spine off of the mat, and hold. So remember hip dips, we did that already. So what we're going to do is try to keep our hips level now, and we're just going to march one leg in a tabletop. I'm watching for that lifted leg, that hip to dip towards the mat, so keeping it level, and then lower it back down, and march on the other side, and lower it back down, and march, and lower, and march. Good. And now let's take the right leg up, and then stretch the toes up towards the sky. Now, our right hip is probably sinking a little bit. That's just the way gravity impacts us. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to reach our toes up towards the sky, and reach up. Push down with the left foot as if you're trying to turn or hit the off button with your toes. It's up there on the ceiling or up there in the clouds. Push down through the inner wheels of your left roller skate. Just one more, and then bend the knee and lower it down. Awesome job. Left leg floating up, reaching the toes to the sky. Your left hip may not even have sunk, but we're just going to assume that it needs a little extra lift, and reach up. Pull the abdominals in as your toes stretch towards the sky. And last 3. Push down through those inner roller skates. And 1. Bend the knee, lower it down, and roll your way back home. Let's do a little ab curl interlude. So you're going to take your hands to the back of your head. Bring the bottom of your feet together once more. And take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, sink those bottom ribs and curl up with the upper body, and then inhale to lower back down, and again exhale, curling up and lowering back down, and again curl up and hold. Breathe in on the exhale. Imagine you're going to bridge up. You're not going to, but you're going to tuck as if you were, and then we're going to add rotation. You're going to spiral to one side with the upper body and spiral to the other side, and center, and again, taking your time. Move with that quality of breath and purpose, steering from that rib cage hula hoop. Come center and lower back down. And now bring your feet back together in parallel. Actually, let's do parallel, like sit bone distance apart, and then arms by your sides. Take a nice big breath in, and on the exhale, scoop and peel up into your bridge. From here, holding all of this, keeping those abdominals engaged, that same idea of using that same flexion you did in your roll up to hold you steady. Float your right leg in a tabletop. Reach the toes towards the sky. Keep reaching for that on button or off button, and circle the leg. Keep reaching up, never falling back down, and then reverse your direction. And last 2 and 1, and then lower the leg down. Again, engage across the front of your body, drawing the abdominals in. Float the left leg, reach up, reach to the sky, and circle, and circle. Good. And then reverse your direction. And then bring your leg to the center and lower it down. And now we'll bring our knees into our chest. Give your low back a little massage. And then reach your hands to the insides of your thighs. And take your hands to your ankles, or maybe the feet. Anywhere you can reach for a little happy baby stretch. And just rock and roll around. And I feel like this is one of those moments that you can kind of really get into the name of the stretch. If you imagine that state of mind of an infant, or anywhere along that early path of our being where, just staring at the ceiling was amazing, right? And just kind of letting your surroundings and your senses open to what's around you and become sort of just mesmerized. by the fine little details of your experience of your body and the space around you. Let's bring our knees together, feet together, and then take your hands to the back of your head. It's starting to get sunny out here. We're going to take our shoulders down, feel your armpits kind of turn towards the sky, and then keep that feeling as you drop the bottom ribs down into the mat and rise up with the upper body. And then from here, we're going to keep the knees bent and just open and connect back to the center. Feeling that space created, and then exhale, moving into it. So we open some space, and then we exhale, scoop the belly, and rise up a little taller, like we practiced seated just a little bit ago. And then taking your knees together, this time we're going to straighten the legs. So we'll bend and open, connect and straighten. Bend and open, connect and straighten. Bend and open, connect and straighten, and then bend, keep the feet together, open the knees, flex the feet. And you're going to go into frog legs, but let's shoot them high. Like you're trying to lift the ceiling off the building. Taking the ceiling off so you can let all this beautiful spring sunshine come in. And again, feeling the opposition, the energy down through your middle and up through the heels. And repeat, scoop and stretch. One more time, reach, hold, and then reach your arms past your thighs, and we'll breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. If you want to lower the legs, you're welcome to. If you're needing a little rest, you can bend your knees in. You can put your feet on the mat, and you can support your head in your hands. We're just staying for a little extra challenge in our hundreds as we breathe. One more big breath in, and then bend your knees in and lower your head and shoulders down. You guys are lucky with me. We really never do the hundreds. We always do like the 40s. And then take your hands to the back of your thighs, and we'll rock and roll up to seated. Okay. After all of that flexion, it's actually quite nice to do a little work in the upper back. So you're going to come to seated and just lift your chest up. Okay, and then from there, we're going to take the arms out to the sides and see if you can feel this. You're going to spin your palms up and use the spinning of the palms to help elevate the chest. And in that way, we're activating the back of the body. Otherwise, we'd be falling forward, right? And then lifting up like so. Okay, and then we're just going to add a side bend. Taking a big side bend over to one side, and then making that same stretch to the other side. Careful again that the chest doesn't collapse here. And then rise up and over. Good. And up and over. All right, we're gonna take it to the center and bring our legs together right out in front, and then take your arms to the side. So if you can't make this happen without running into things, you can bend your elbows. But like we did, spin the palms up, use it to lift your chest. We're gonna go to the right, we're gonna sniff, sniff, and center. And sniff, sniff, and center. And turn and float to the center. As imagining you are lifting every time you twist, getting a little taller. And center, one more each side. And center, and last one. And center. All right, let's go ahead and lower down onto our right side. So you're gonna come into a, let's see, I'm gonna have you start with your arm stretched out long for right now. Good. Then your bottom leg is forward just enough so that you can feel that sort of stability, and then reach your top leg straight in line with your spine. We'll lower and lift to begin with. Good. As you're doing this, keep reaching through that heel to create space along the top side of your waist, and to help bring that about a little bit more easily. You'll feel a little connectivity on your bottom side, so you're having maybe not space, but that sense of lift. And then take the leg to level and start to circle it, and just create some nice warm lubrication in that joint. Sometimes you may not celebrate the work in an exercise, a particular exercise, but just know when you feel the heat, and hopefully in the very specific place right at the joint, that is, just like we've talked about in the past, it's going to help to thaw out some little stuck and frozen parts of your connective tissue. It's meant to be warm and liquid and pliable. And then just pause there, and we'll take the leg forward on an inhale, and then exhale, pull it back. We're gonna flex the foot as it comes forward, and then point the foot as it comes back, and flex, and point, and flex, and point. One more time to the front, one more time to the back. Reach the leg back, land the toes down on the mat. Take your top arm and reach it forward, and let that turn your shoulders towards the mat. So you're kind of twisting through the middle to help bring your toes and your hand towards the earth. And then we'll just bring ourselves back to the start, leg floating, and we're going to combine the stretch with some movement. So your top arm is going to reach alongside your body. As your leg floats back, your arm is going to reach forward, and you can rotate a little bit towards the ground. And then switch, kick the leg forward, and turn your gaze up towards the sky. And then reach. So we're kind of rolling around on our rib cage while our hips are kind of staying still. There's really room for lots of interpretations. Just make it feel good, right? Like you're just skipping through a beautiful meadow full of flowers and honeybees. And then reach into the stretch. And then we'll bring the arm back to your side, and then bend the knees. We're going to take the feet together, knees together, and then we're going to lift the feet, and then open the top knee out to the side. From here, flex the feet, heels together, and you're going to go into a frog leg side. And bend. And squeeze your inner thighs. And press out. Now you're a cute little froggy swimming through the pond sideways, doing some fancy moves for your friends. And swimming your way through the frog pond. Okay, and last two. And last one, reach and hold, point the toes, and then add your upper body, lift your upper body up. Now we're in a banana. We're gonna stay in the turnout, lower down, and scoop and lift, and lower down. And again, stretch out, become the longest frog you can, or the longest banana. And then coming down. This time, try it with just one hand. We'll keep the right hand down and reach the left. And side bend, reaching up. Good. And down, and again. After one more, we'll do just a fun little experiment where we try no hands, okay? Palm up on the bottom arm. You're not gonna move nearly as far, but balance is more the challenge. So laugh with yourself as you topple. And one more time from that strong center. Awesome job. Let's roll to our tummy while we're here. Just stay a moment and bring a little bit of movement into your hips, rocking side to side. And then we'll take the legs long, toes turned out, head resting down on your on your hands, and then take your abdominals and lift them away from the mat. Press your pubic bone down into the mat, and then see if you have room to maybe hover the legs. If that causes you to strain in your low back, then you just keep them on the mat. But if you have a little space, keep that length through the low back by pressing your pubic bone heavily and lifting your abdominals. And we're just gonna squeeze the thighs together, and squeeze, and squeeze. We're gonna do 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1, and then pull the heels together, bend the knees, let the knees come apart so you've got a little space between them. Pubic bone heavy into the mat. Flex your feet so it's like you could set a tray on top of your feet, and then lift the tray, and lift, and lift. Again, if this bothers your low back, don't add the lift, but think of tucking deeper into the mat. If it's worthwhile, you might try patting your hips if you're really uncomfortable with your hips in this position. Just putting a towel or a cushion, grab a couch cushion, tuck it under there. And 3, and 2, and 1. And then lengthen those legs out. Again, rock your hips side to side. And we're gonna roll to the other side. I'll turn so you can see me and I can see you. And we'll go into our side lying position with the arm outstretched and the top leg long. Bottom foot is a little outstretched in front of you for balance. And then we're just reaching to lift and lower the leg. Good. And then reach and hold and add in those circles. Your circles are not massive, they're just kind of a range that feels friendly and allows you to travel a little bit out in front and a little bit out back while combining that leg lift. And then reverse your direction. And again, remember, we're trying to celebrate that heat we're finding right around our hip, that glute power. Match it with some core support, feeling that lift out from the bottom of your waist. And then hover, and we're going right into our kicks. Sweep the leg forward, flexing the foot, point the foot and draw the leg back. And we'll flex and draw back and flex and draw back. And good. One more like that. And then reach the leg back and hold, add the twist. Reach your top arm forward, lower down, placing your fingertips and toes on the mat to help create this pull across the side of your body from fingertips to toes and everything in between, being asked to lengthen. And then bringing your arm around to your side, we'll reach the arm straight in line with the body. As the leg comes forward, the arm will reach back. As the leg goes forward, the arm will reach forward. Opposite. You know what I'm saying. So we're going to take a twist, turn towards the mat, and then as your leg comes forward, you're going to let your arm and shoulder roll back as well as your gaze. Let it be as full body as you have room for and as feels good. If you're running into things, then, you know, just make it feel good within the space that you have. 2 more. And 1 more. And then bring the legs together. Bend your knees and take your feet a little bit away from the mat and then lift the top knee. Flex your feet so you've got those frog legs again. And you're just going to squeeze the legs together, pressing out to straight. Bend and squeeze. Side frog, swimming through the pond. And again. Good. Maybe a little bit of friction on the mat with the bottom leg, but we can work through that. Last 2. Last 1. Reach and hold, and then bring your upper body into play. We'll bring it into a banana, and then lower back down, and lift, and lower, and lift. Good. And again. We'll do that 1 more time like that, and then add in one-handed bananas, taking the top arm alongside the waist and down. And good. And let's do 1 more like that, and then try 3 without any support from the arms at all. Feeling that power from the middle of your body, rocking and rolling. Trunk power, leg power. Use those inner thighs. 1 more, and then lower down, and again roll to your tummy. On your tummy this time, we're going to take your hands to the mat just in front of your shoulders, and then start with your legs a little bit apart. We're going to just hover the shoulders off of the mat, and then bring your sternum forward and peel up into a little mini swan, and then lower back down, and repeat. Just a little upper back bend, nothing too aggressive. And what you're going to practice is keeping your low back from doing a great deal of arching by keeping your pubic bone heavy and feeling that your tailbone is reaching towards your heels, right? And then coming up, maybe we get to our mini swan, elbows down, and we feel like we might press into the hands and lift up to full swan. Any point along this path that doesn't feel good, you just go ahead and stop. You can make your hands, your swan a little lower by bringing your hands a little further forward. But with all the work we do in flexion, it's really nice to stretch the abdominals and move in this direction. So I want to always be cautious and kind to your low back, but I also want to really invite movement into your spine. So find that balance for you where you're able to move happily. You're not holding back, just keeping yourself in a tiny little box, but you're not pushing through anything that feels uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to have you do 1 more swan like that. And then lower down. And take yourself back to a child's pose. Bringing your knees underneath your chest, folding into that little rest position. And just keep breathing. I'm gonna see if I can make a little adjustment with my shade. I didn't, every day the sun changes position, so it's kind of interesting. I think that's a little bit better. Questionable. Maybe I'll just put it down. I'm experimenting. You guys can take your hands over to one side. Move your hands to the side to feel a different stretch on the waist. It's going to be fulsome, but that's all right. And now we're going to take our hands to the other side, make it balanced to both sides. Then you're taking some nice full breaths into those lungs. Drink up that precious oxygen and let it travel throughout the whole system, restoring, rebuilding, renewing. And then slide your hands towards your knees along the mat. And now that I'm in the full sun, because you're gonna watch me get sweaty. All right, I'm gonna turn around so you can see more of me. We're gonna take our hands to the mat right underneath our shoulders. And then we'll start with the left knee. Take your left knee up and back. And then we're just gonna circle it out to the side and circle it around. So even though the full leg is moving, thinking mostly about the thigh bone, moving in the hip socket, okay? And then reverse your direction, of course, and stir up some more of that yummy heat in those hips. And then we're gonna take the knee back, toes to the sky, and reach your your opposite arm forward, and lift your chest and go into your cow. So you're doing your back bend here, drawing your abdominals in still, lift your heart, and bring your toes as if you could touch the back of your head. And then we're gonna flex, pull the knee and the elbow together, lift the spine, lift your abdominals and round. 2 more like that. Reach out and flex in. Reach out and flex in. And then reach out, and then take your arm and leg out to the side, and then pull back into the midline. Open to the sides, pull to the midline. 1 more like that, open, pull to the midline, land the toes back behind you, and step into your plank position. Okay, you're gonna draw your left leg back, lifting your foot up, and then pull your knee towards your nose. Lift up out of your wrist, reach it back. Now take your knee towards your opposite elbow and take your foot to the mat across the mat. So the outside of the foot is down. If you can't see, it's like this to the other side. And then you're just gonna hold there, keeping your shoulders square to the mat, feeling into that stretch for the outside of that left hip. And then if it feels good, you can turn on your back foot and open into a side plank. And then circle that hand back to the mat. Pull that knee into your chest, step it back, lower the knees down, and reset for the other side. Woo! Okay, it's getting warm out here. We're gonna take our right knee into circles. So you'll start back and around to the front, taking that thigh bone into some big, juicy stirs. And then reverse your direction. Good. And I'm having so many little bug visitors on my mat. It's kind of fun. And then circle the knee back and reach your heart forward. So you're in that cow moment of your cat-cow, and then add the opposite arm lifting along with your heart. And then flex the spine and bring it in. Reach it out. Oh, sorry, bending the knees continuously. And then reach and flex. And reach and flex. 1 more time, reach out and then lengthen the leg and open out to the side. Arm and leg fly wide and then pull center. Feeling muscles in your trunk. Working quite a lot to stabilize this. And then land your left hand down, put your toes on the mat on the right foot, and then step your left foot back to plank as well. Lift your right foot up, pull your knee to your nose, reach your right foot back. Bring your right knee across to the opposite elbow, Stretch the leg out to straight, side of the foot on the mat. Hold there and breathe, keeping those shoulders square to the mat for that big stretch to your right side IT band. And then perhaps you might like to turn and open into that side plank. And then circle, swim that hand back to the mat, pull your knee and hover it up, step it down, and then lower your knees. Take yet another child's pose. Let's do this one. Knees wide, and slide your hands out along the mat. And just drink in that breath, finding some stillness after all that energy flow. You can bring your hands together, palms together, bend the elbows and bring them back over your head. And then release the hands. We'll walk our hands in towards our knees and come back up to all fours. From here, we're going to take our hands underneath our shoulders, but just a little bit out in front once you find that width and that placement. So we're a little bit broader than our typical all fours. And then toes tucked under. And we're going to lift our tail up in the air and find our downward dog. With your knees bent or straight, whatever feels safest to you at this time. And then you're just going to lift your left leg up and then bend the knee, bring it forward to the left hand, cross your left ankle towards your right hip, and we're coming into a pigeon stretch. Now for most of you, I think you know, this is a stretch for your glute, and if you'd rather do the figure four stretch, pure forma stretch, that is a good option. Before you lay down on your forehead though, stay a moment and lift up through the spine and let gravity kind of drop into that hip. You can even use your back leg a little to help you kind of bring your hips back, and you might even find it feels even more stretchy if you rock a little bit off center, right? It's only if that feels good. So we'll just take a few moments there, and then as you're ready, maybe you'll let your spine drape forward over that front shin and just breathe there a moment. And again, you're listening in to your body, to the surroundings, but especially your body, and trying to acknowledge what you see, what you hear, and what you find. Not control it or complain about it, but just acknowledge it. And then we'll walk our hands back and then make our way to downward dog again. So you're just transitioning through this nice big stretch, and then taking your right foot up, bring the knee toward your right hand, cross your ankle to the opposite hip, and then use your back leg to help you wiggle back if that feels right in your body. Stay upright and lift so that you have that ability to drop into that right hip. If your knees aren't happy with this, again, move to figure four. And then we're just going to rock perhaps a little bit over to the right side, and then make your way down into your little bow. Bowing in towards your mat, bowing in towards your body, bowing in towards the earth. And again, taking a moment to acknowledge what you feel and find. You might discover some places that are tighter than you would like them to be, but you might also discover, if you can open to all of it, that there are some places in your body that just feel amazing right now. Feel warm and powerful and vibrant and healthy. And then bring your hands back to the mat underneath your shoulders. Reorient and move to downward dog. Take your tail in the air, soften your knees as needed, and soften your shoulders away from the ears. Lengthen your heels towards the mat if that feels available to you, and then roll forward into plank. We're just going to hold here, squeezing the thighs together, pressing the tops of the thighs towards the sky. If you're feeling really empowered, you might try some push-ups, maybe 3, maybe 5, just a few. Feeling yourself in one whole powerful being. Levitate towards the earth and away. And then lift your hips up once again. And then lower your knees down. Let's take a seated position once again, maybe seated, maybe kneeling, and take your arms out to the sides. Cross your left arm on top of your right. Intertwine the forearms. If you can, palms together. If not, backs of the hands together is fine. We're going to slide the shoulders down, lift the chest, and lift the elbows. A little sort of opening up towards the possibilities. And then exhale, flex and round, and going inside. Not hiding, not sort of running away, but just acknowledging where you are, how you are. And then again, inhale, open, arriving and opening to all that's available to you. And then exhale again, going in, acknowledging that which already is, which is already amazing. And then we'll lift up, release the arms, open, and gather them again in the same position, but opposite arm on top. Soften the shoulders down, take that same stretch up to the sky, really invoking this sense of openness, spaciousness, allowing everything that is and wants to become to reveal itself to you. And then exhale, rounding in, taking another little sort of warm look inside in a friendly way. And again, open up, stretch your heart, stretch your spine, stretch to take it all in, and then exhale, round, and stay in that centered place for just a moment more. And then reach up, lift your arms to the sky, and then we'll bring our arms back together overhead, palms together, and slide them to our hearts, lifting our hearts up to meet our hands. Awesome work, you guys.